Welcome to the Daily Coffee Pro by Map It Forward, friends. Today on the podcast, we're talking about life after your life as a barista. What happens next? What should you be thinking about? How should you be planning for it? And today, before we get started, thanks to our episode sponsor, the Small Business Mastermind Group by Map It Forward. Head to the show notes to figure out how you can join a mastermind group today. So, your life after being a barista. This is very poignant right now as the labor force is in very short supply. And baristas are wondering, why should they go back to their jobs? A lot of government relief, being on a different lifestyle, I guess. Having more money than you've had in your career has given you insight into, well, I don't think that I want to have to live on minimum wage. I really love being in the coffee industry. I really love dealing with other people in the coffee industry, but being a barista just doesn't cut it anymore. And I am not sure that I'm going to learn the things that I want as a skill base for a lifelong career from small business owners. So I want to map out my next trajectory. So today we're going to talk about what are the options that are open to you. And my friends, there are very many. There are very, very many. And it's all dependent on what you want to do. So I'd encourage you to start with that question. In 10 years from now, what is it that you would like to have achieved? Where do you want to see your life? Where do you want to see your business? If business is something that you want to do, where do you want to see your career if you want to keep working for somebody? And remember, not everybody is cut out to be a small business owner. Now, another thing to consider, how much have you learnt as a barista? Now, when I speak to baristas today, the one thing that really impresses me is that baristas today have access to much more knowledge than what I did as I was coming up as a barista and across the whole 15-year career I had as a barista. And I got to tell you, I loved my career as barista. And if I was going to go back and be an employee in the coffee industry, I'd probably go back to be a barista. I never wanted to open my own cafe, and I probably won't do it. If I ever open a cafe, it'll be in 10 years from now, and it'll probably be in Damascus, in Syria. But other than that, my career was as a barista because I loved the customer interaction and the hospitality aspect of being a barista just as much, if not maybe just a tiny smidge more than working with coffee itself. And so this is where I want to say to you, have a look at what it is about your career as a barista that you really loved the most. Is it the hospitality aspect? Is it the coffee aspect? Is it the business aspect? Was it the logistical aspects of ordering coffee and figuring out how to get everything stocked up and how you run the flow of that? Was it about, the marketing of the coffee program? So what were the elements of your job as a barista that you really loved and really gravitated towards? Once you've asked yourself that question and answered that question, and spend some time doing that, then I want you to think about what are some of the other careers that are available to you, either in the coffee industry or outside of the coffee industry, and perhaps adjacent to the coffee industry. So an example of adjacent to the coffee industry would be somebody who was really into the marketing of roasted coffee. So they really enjoyed coming up with different creative elements of how you would take photos of the roasted coffee bags, or perhaps even create the drawings for roasted coffee bags. And the adjacent industries to that would be social media marketing management, or perhaps the packaging industry. Those are adjacent to the coffee industry, but still heavily connected or could be heavily connected to the coffee industry. And perhaps looking at how you can upscale your skill sets to be relevant to both industries at the same time could perhaps prove to give you a one-up on people who don't have any kinds of the same skill sets as you. So positioning yourself to have a unique selling proposition to perhaps a future employer and say to a packaging company, I come from the coffee industry and I can help you understand the needs of the coffee industry. That's a great example of how you might repurpose your skills into your next career. Now, if coffee is the main thing that you've really loved in your career and you want to keep in it with coffee, perhaps considering pivoting towards coffee roasting or coffee science or coffee writing. I would say green buying, but look, truth be told, there are a lot of green buyers out there right now and not enough businesses for them to sell to. Having said that, I would encourage you to start thinking about a career, if green buying is something that you want, which connects producers. So work with a couple of producers, specifically with a couple of producers, to get their coffee sold and perhaps figure out how you can become the middleman for that. And that's becoming a thing. I have friends who used to be green buyers for large companies who have now decided to cut that out, and they are now representing producers from specific regions in coffee growing origins and are now finding customers to connect with that coffee. So your life after a barista, if becoming a barista is something that you've decided you don't want to do anymore or that you want to pivot from sometime in the future, you have a lot of options open to you, and we only just covered a few. There are very, very many. Very soon we are going to have a barista map up on the Mapper Forward website, and it's going to include an extensive list of careers that you can pivot towards. So look out for that soon. I hope this has been helpful, friends. Please don't forget to subscribe if you are watching this video on YouTube, or if you are listening through a podcast listening app, please consider subscribing to the podcast that you are listening to this through, and rating, reviewing, and sharing it with your friends. Peace, love, and peanut butter. Have an amazing rest of your day.